Touchdown! Oh, did you see that?
Whoa, we scored?
Yeah, we scored going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
What? I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride.
Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
I'm gonna need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back here to another night of iRacing action on the National Racing Network. Is tonight the Stars and Cars of the Sim Racers Club going to take on Kansas Speedway? 1 week ago, Max Williams picking up a big win at the Daytona International Speedway. We'll recap all the action and tell you a little bit about what's coming up here. But first, my name is Chris Graham. It is a pleasure to have you hanging out with us here this evening. Joined, as always, by the Bizzle, Mr. Patrick Byrne. And Patrick, we're getting away from the plate racing. We're getting away from the shenanigans a little bit. Time to hit the mile and a halfs and really what these next-gen cars were made to excel on.
Oh, absolutely. And Kansas is definitely one of the best mile and a halfs. I love this track. I don't want to say perfectly round, but there isn't a straightaway on this place. Very similar to Chicago, the backstretch is very, very slightly curved. It's narrow, but it doesn't feel narrow, and it's got pretty good banking and nice wide corners. Great fast racing to be expected here.
Yeah, there's quite frankly a whole lot that we're going to be looking forward to here this evening as practice is just about ready to wrap up here down to, well, time has expired on the practice session. Qualifications going to roll off here in just a moment. We mentioned Max Williams getting the win 1 week ago. Absolute carnage at the finish. 4 cars within like a tenth and a half of each other. But it's definitely changed some things up here. Tyler Seville not able to race 1 week ago due to the effects of Hurricane Ian. I'm looking, and it doesn't look like we have Tyler in the show again tonight. That's really jumbled things up in the point standings. Will Wursler, your new points leader, by 5 over Colton Harvey.
I'm not sure where Tyler is down in Florida, but I've got some buddies in Fort Myers and Cape Coral. They still do not have power, and power crews are on the ground working to get the power back up, but they've been taking days in the same spot. It's obviously a lot of work to be done, so hopefully we see Tyler back here on the grid soon.
Oh, interesting stuff here. On the outlap, Johnny Avila up into the outside safer barrier. Johnny has not had the season he might have hoped for, but he's only 31 points back, entering tonight 6th in the point standings. Our winner 1 week ago, Max Williams, flipping spots with Thomas Wilhite. He's now inside the top 10 in points. The big mover of the week, Richard Fletcher, moving up 6 to get to 14th in points. A huge move from Fletch, won after quite frankly, a spectacular race 1 week ago. Colton Harvey running in second. He's only 5 back, as we mentioned. Kevin Dick, third in points, 17 back. Tyler Seville, 19 points back in fourth. Hunter Waters up to the 5th position. He's going to be 25 points back. Tyler not being able to run has really just completely changed how this championship's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, he was your points leader. I almost feel bad for him at this point where I'm willing to go down there. When we go down to Tampa, I'll pick him up and fly him back up here to New York so we can have some internet and go racing. Tyler,
Yeah.
if you want to come down here and race on my rig, you are more than welcome.
Don't tempt them. Just if anything, to get out of the real world that life has been down there. Let's talk a little bit about qualifications here, though. Kevin Dick going to be your quick timer thus far at a 21.234. Brad Dick only 5/1000ths of a second back, 500ths back, excuse me. 700ths back going to be Corbin Simmons in the third position. That's right where he's going to sit at a 31.304. Joshua Morris, Johnny Avila, your top 5 to this point. See what lap number 2 is going to look like for the Bulldog Roof Works, number 63 of the Canuck. Johnny Avila, second quick, 8/700ths back at the conclusion of his second lap. Andrew Moore with a good lap as well. He's going to move himself up to third at a 31.116. Seeing Thomas Wilhite coming around, lap number 1 on the board. Going to be good for 8th quick. Well, now it's 9th as Will Worsler moves up to the 7th position. Worsler going to be clocking in at a 31.438 second lap. Still 3 cars not out on the racetrack yet for qualifications. Max Williams, Mike McConville, and Richard Fletcher. Troy Haight with a good lap. He's going to move up to the 4th position. 31.217. See what lap number 2 looks like here for Thomas Wilhite. He is down across the line, going to move up to 8th quick. Will Worsler with a big jump. He moves up to 4th at a 31.189. Something that we don't often talk about, Patrick. It's actually more important in some instances in the dirt world on iRacing. But when you choose to go out really matters in qualifications. Even if you wait just a minute or 2 longer, you could potentially see 2 or 3 degrees in track temperature. That's enough to slow you down just a couple of hundredths.
That's a huge thing that I've been playing with in the Fastmaster series, where the the weather I have set to change so quickly. You can go out for qualifying at the beginning of the session and be 3 or 4 tenths faster than going out at the end, or vice versa. It's a huge swing just with a couple degrees in track temperature. And a lot of people think it doesn't matter in the sim world. The track's not building as much rubber, whatever. It is just as important, if not more important here.
Taking a look at the weather conditions, 70-degree ambient temperature. Wind's going to be out of the southeast at 8 miles an hour. 85-degree track temperature, so it could come into play at least a little bit here as we have Tim Knott making his way down to pit road. We'll pick up the 57 of Mike McConville making his way off turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Every week, a new paint job for Mike McConville. This one, a breast cancer awareness paint scheme. Very nice pink and black race car out on the track for Mr. McConville.
It is October, which means it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and also Pink Socks Month in the NFL.
That is correct. I'm trying to figure out what is on the side of his car. I love the Fight Like a Girl. Oh, it's pink ribbons all over the side of the car. Very nice paint scheme there, Mr. McConville. Car looks good, buddy. Coming off of turn number 4 to complete lap number 2, Max Williams, the only car that has not taken time yet. Mike McConville was 9th quick. That's exactly where he's going to stay after a lap of 31.3 seconds flat. Lap number 2, 31.423. Everybody but Max Williams has gotten their qualification runs in. See, Mike McConville practicing the pit entry there. That one is so important here in a place like Kansas. Getting off of turn 4 and onto pit lane is very tricky here. 1, because of the angles, and 2, because of how much speed you carry through the corners.
Yeah, the turns are very, very, I don't know whether to call them wide or shallow. Like, it's a very unique track in the way these turns are. They're not like your typical cookie cutter 1.5 turns. They kind of come in very shallow, make a real sharp turn in the mid corner, and then come off very shallow. So typically you're going to be extending the wheel, kind of bringing it back to center. The car's going to want to push up, except you're going to want to crank more wheel into it coming into the pit road. But the banking goes away, and it's going to push you towards that outside wall. It's very difficult to make pit road here.
Yeah, that's it's a challenge to say the least. And quite frankly, just getting the car up to speed can be a bit of a challenge. So we have Max Williams out here to take his laps. He will be car number 19 to take to the racetrack here tonight. Lap number 1 is in the books, and it's only going to be a 31.646, about 0.6 of a second off the quick time of Kevin Dick, 30.994 seconds. Only driver in the 30-second bracket tonight. Before we get too deep into the race here, while we have a quick second as Max Williams finishes up his run, lap number 2, 31.338, going to be good for 13th on the grid, and that will wrap things up here for qualifications. Have to say a huge thank you to Gary Godso, the team from RaceVerse, who will be stepping in for us this week. Going to be Gary and Justin Petchower handling the color commentary in the race broadcast for us next week. Looking forward to hearing those guys while we are down in Florida working in the Bradenton area. They're going to be handling next week and a couple of weeks from now, too.
I stepped out of work today on my lunch break and was shivering. And we had a customer coming in, and I kind of just let out, I can't wait to be in Florida next week. And he just, like, kind of glared at me and, like, screw you, dude.
Yeah. It's been cold here. Cold may be an understatement for what it's been here, at least this early in the year. Mike McConville checking in here, by the way. Got to get this comment up on the screen for everybody. Saying, this paint and month means a lot to me. I lost both my aunts to breast cancer when I was a teenager. Well, Mike, you're in our thoughts. Your family is, and quite frankly, cancer sucks. Someday we will be rid of this disease, but October, a great time to raise awareness and, quite frankly, piles and piles of cash. Down to 25 seconds left in the qualification session. Cars are going to head to the grid shortly. Let's tell you real quick about the sponsors of the league, including SimSpeedShop.com. Overall season champion picking up a NASCAR-style wheel. Spring champion Johnny Avila and the fall champion both going to pick up a button box courtesy of SimSpeedShop.com. 3 additional button boxes going out for the safe driver draw as well. Thank you very much to the fine folks over at SimSpeedShop.com. Make sure you check them out for all of your sim racing hardware needs. Also, cash sponsors courtesy of Northland Leisure for the stage winners. Realty Executive Saskatoon putting up the award for the fastest lap. Custom Paints and Diecasts, cash sponsor for the Hard Charger and the Biggest Loser. Thank you very much to Custom Paints and Diecasts, Jordan and his whole team over there. They do a whole lot for this league. You're going to see a lot of Custom Paints and Diecast logos on these cars. But it is time to go racing here at Kansas. Let's take a look here at the starting grid. Waiting on the front row and a couple of other cars to get out here, but as we wait for them, let's take a look at the grid. Kevin Dick and Johnny Avila going to occupy row number 1 for this one here tonight. Only 76 thousandths separating those two. Troy Haight and Andrew Moore Jr. on row number 2. Will Worsler, your new points leader, and Richard Fletcher. How about it, Fletch? Outside of row number 3, he is going to make a late charge here in this fall season. Tim Knott, Brad Allison on row number 4. Mike McConville and Corbin Simmons on row number 5. Row 6 will have Joshua Morris and Thomas Wilhite. Wilhite going to need to make up a bunch of ground if he wants to get up towards the front of the field here tonight. Max Williams and Daniel Pinkston occupying the 7th row. Row number 8 going to belong to Richard Smith and Tony Patton. John Moeller, Colton Harvey on row number 9, and Hunter Waters all alone on row 10. the biggest surprise of qualifications, Colton Harvey and Hunter Waters. Colton checking in the comments here. Get this one up here on the screen for you. Saying, tag the wall on my queue. Gonna make a lot of passes. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. You got some work to do there, buddy. Field going to make their way down the back straightaway. This one will be 117 laps, I believe, the scheduled distance. Waiting to hear when the possible stage break will come. Yeah, 117 the total distance. Stage number 1 going to end at lap 30. Stage 2 at lap 65. Definitely going to make for some interesting strategy games here. Again, 65 kind of pushing it, I think, to make this a one-stop race. That looks like it's going to be a two-stopper, so the question becomes, when do they make those stops? Pace truck making its way off of turn number 4, and as always, race fans, the start of this one going to be all yours. Side-by-side battle for the race lead. Lap number 1's going to go to Kevin Dick. Barely ahead of Johnny Avila. Oh, man, they almost made contact getting down to turn number 1. Fantastic battle for the race lead. Good fight going on a little bit back in the pack as well here, but we're going to stay right up towards the front. It is a dog pile towards the back of the pack. Things start to settle down at the front just a little bit. Let's slide back here. Pick up Richard Fletcher and Corbin Simmons. Fletch already down 4 spots from where he started. Max Williams getting a great jump. He's up 5 to run 8. And I believe Fletch is back in the cartoon anvil machine this week.
Yes, sir. That is a fantastic scheme. I love that one.
Oh, well done, Fletch. Kevin Dick holding on to the race lead. Johnny Avila going to battle with Troy Hayden through 3 and 4. Avila down on the inside of the racetrack. Kind of an interesting thing here, Patrick. The inside lane might be a little faster, may wear the tires a little bit quicker, though. Is that something they really have to play with here at Kansas?
Absolutely. I mean, the tire wear is not something I would worry about all that much. But it's the fact that the high line, I think, is a little bit faster here. You see Johnny Avila is not really making up any ground on the low line. You can kind of dive down there and get a slide job or something going, but I don't know if you're going to want to race down there, more so for the pace rather than the tire wear.
Well, it's kind of an interesting one because Andrew Moore looks like he was doing some creeping on the bottom in 3 and 4, gaining a little bit of ground on Troy Hayden. Up on the outside of the racetrack. I guess it's a little bit also of maybe clean air is just as important as what you're going to do tire wear wise. We see Moore, he's not all the way to the bottom, kind of splitting the difference a little bit through 3 and 4. This fight settles down. The one picking up here is the battle between Mike McConville and Tim Knott. Knott in the 41 having to look down to the inside of the racetrack. That 41 machine looks pretty quick. McConville going to grab some gravity off the top down to the bottom. Something that we haven't, I don't know that we've ever really talked about during these broadcasts, Patrick, is the dynamic track surfaces that we have here on the iRacing platform. As you run in the high lane, you're going to make that section of racetrack warmer. So over the course of this, it could actually be beneficial to maybe do a little grip hunting. Try the middle lane, try the bottom, especially if you see everything really single file out.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of the dirt guys are going to be very good at. Hey, this lap, I'm just going to test the waters in the bottom. Oh, I picked up a little bit of time there. I'm going to start running that, try and make a move. Or you might find that and then go and kind of keep that trick up your sleeve until you close in on a guy and dive down there and kind of slingshot around him. Yeah, and that dynamic tracks really gives the dirt guys a huge advantage. And it's something we're seeing today in NASCAR too, where the dirt guys like Bowman, Larson, really going out there and showing everyone how it's done because of how much these tracks change with these new asphalt, synthetic asphalt compounds they're putting on these tracks.
Yeah, that one's really interesting too, and I don't know that they've completely modeled that yet in terms of what the track surface is, but that's something. My kid is an engineering student. She'll be, be a working engineer here in the next couple of months, but the compounds that they're using to build roadways in general and racetracks in particular, this is some exotic stuff that's going into these racetracks. It's not the kind of grab the local sand and dirt and the aggregates and stuff and just kind of pour the whatever asphalt. They're adding a lot of compounds to this stuff. They can even try to improve grip. Forget the PJ1 stuff. You can do that with how you actually build the asphalt.
If any of you listening at home have the opportunity to go to a NASCAR track that was just recently repaved, buy whatever fan access you can get that'll let you stand on the track, even if just for a minute. And just kind of try and slide your foot over it, and then do the exact same thing when you're walking on that asphalt behind the grandstands. And you can feel just how much of a difference there is from just normal run-of-the-mill construction asphalt to the stuff they're putting on these racetracks.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Actually, a bit of news out of the NASCAR world, two pieces of news out of the NASCAR world today. One, Kevin Harvick's team being docked 100 points and $100,000, along with Rodney Childers getting a 4-race vacation for an unapproved modification of a single source part. That's never a good idea. The other big one, huge news out of Pocono Raceway. The tower that sits right at the start-finish line, it's been victory lane for decades, since the place opened basically, that will be gone by next season to be replaced with a new fan access area, new victory lane. Big time investment by the Igdalski family, the Mattioli family, Ben May, the president up there. Pretty cool stuff to see coming to Pocono Raceway.
I'm glad I got to stand on top of that tower one last time before tearing it down.
I was kind of thinking that same thing. So much history in that victory lane. You walked in there and it was, some guys see, people that work in the media and all, you stand there and you think you see Denny Hamlin there, Jimmy Johnson spent a lot of time there. I think Tim Richmond, that's the same plot of asphalt that Tim Richmond would park those Folgers number 25s on. That man was absolutely incredible behind the wheel of a stock car, and an Indy car for that matter. Pretty cool to think some of the history that we got to hang out with. But we're maybe seeing a little bit here as Johnny Avila turning on the Jets. Maybe Kevin Dick wore out those tires a little bit running the outside of the racetrack the way he was, because Johnny Avila down to the inside, and he may make this pass look easy off of turn number 4.
Not just yet, but he's going to cut a little bit out of the apron, and by my eyes, he's clear.
Depending on how many of the double IPAs that you gave to me last weekend you've had, your vision may not be all that great, but Johnny Avila's plenty good there. In fact, he's now going to be clear by almost a half second. Troy Haight making up a bunch of ground as well here on Kevin Dick. Are we seeing the tire fall off a little bit here at lap number 16 already?
I would believe it. Kansas isn't a track we talk about being abrasive, but it's not new asphalt. I think the last time they repaved this place was 2007, 2008. So you could be seeing a bit of tire wear now.
Yeah, Kansas winters are not exactly known for being pleasant. I'll
Not
tell you
only
what.
that, but
Go ahead.
I know they haven't had a tornado rip right through the track, but they've had some pretty gnarly storms around here too.
Yes, the summers can be just as messy out there in Salina, Kansas. Actually, not far from where Clint Boyer was born and raised. But we're seeing Tim Knott and Mike McConville making up a bunch of ground here on Max Williams. We talked about Williams being one of those guys who was jumping out to an early position grab. He's now starting to fall back to these guys. Same is true with Colton Harvey, but he's going the other direction. Harvey's gained 9 spots since the start of the race. Now starting to fall back just little by little here. Conville makes the big dive down to the inside of Tim Knott. He'll get the slider clear off at 2. Kevin Dick falling back into the clutches of Troy Haight. Troy Haight clear to the outside. Andrew Moore Jr. wants a piece. He's going to be right there. Dick trying to work the inside of the racetrack now. Seeing the word from race control here. No caution flags at the stage breaks. 10 laps to go in stage number 1. Knocking on wood here. But this thing could go 117 laps clean and green.
It's definitely very possible, especially at any of the mile and a halves. However, Kansas is its own beast. I could see someone going for a slider, kind of shooting down low and swinging up high and just not being quite clear yet. Or Kevin Dick just like that, big wiggle.
Yeah, that's a moment and a half off of turn number 4. Code Brown, car 52, Troy Haight. He's going to have to work to hold off Andrew Moore Jr. here. Will Worsler's caught up into this fight as well. Oh, man, what a save again from Kevin Dick. I'll tell you what, if these guys can only make a set of tires last 25 or 30 laps, this is going to get very spicy here because they've only got 2 sets of tires in the box. You can split the race into thirds, but man, that's not real pleasant. At a minimum, you need to go 39 laps. Mike McConville seeing a little bit of a connection issue here, and he is, well, maybe not. Yeah, big time connection issues for the 57 of Mike McConville. He's kind of popping in and out of the field at various points here. Let's slide back in the pack a little bit. Got a nice battle going on here between Richard Smith, Richard Fletcher, and Joshua Morris. Fletch may have gotten a piece of the outside safer barrier because that car is starting to slide backwards a little bit.
Either that or he just drove the right rear off it. As we saw with Kevin Dick, it's very, very easy to overheat that right rear, and you kind of got to slow yourself down. Otherwise, the car's going to be swinging sideways on you.
Seeing the 22 with Daniel Pinkston making his way up ahead of Fletcher as well, trying to chase Joshua Morris through. Kevin Dick continuing to slide backwards here. He's now fighting with Max Williams, and it's not going to be much of a fight at all. It's tough. Let's take a look here, get an onboard with Kevin Dick. Gotta keep an eye on that steering wheel. Tough break for Mike McConville, seeing that car has now jumped to the pit area.
It's unfortunate. It always sucks to go out with a connection issue, but I've always looked at it as, you know, motor blew, maybe got to talk to the guys in the engine shop, call your ISP up, or something like that happened.
So Dick now back to the 8th position. Hunter Waters, well, I think he saved some tires here as he is up 13 positions in your hard charger of the race. Battling with Max Williams and Colton Harvey. Off at turn number 4, green and white checkered flag going to go in the air, and it will be Johnny Avila picking up the win here in stage number 1. Oh, Max Williams may have been in the safer barrier. Colton Harvey able to come through. Kevin Dick now going to have the look down to the inside. Mike McConville saying he had an issue trying to get back into the server. That one's kind of interesting. Johnny Avila picking up the win in stage number 1, going to be followed home by Andrew Moore Jr. and Will Worsler. Worsler going to have to contend with Troy Haight here. Taking a look at the numbers, Patrick, best lap of the race thus far belongs to Kevin Dick at a 31.101. A full 10.5 faster than Johnny Avila's fastest lap of the race, who's second quick overall. The 5-lap average, 33.067. We are way off of what our best lap pace is here. Obviously, we're seeing the tires are falling off in a big way. Do you have to stop at lap 39 or so, or do you think you try to stretch it if you can?
That depends on how much practice you did. I think these WWR guys, they're going to know exactly what they need to do. Will might want to not hit the wall there. I think they probably practiced that. But some of these other guys maybe have not put in as much practice, going to kind of copycat. And if you're getting copycatted, you have the advantage because you know when you need to pit. Either you pit at lap 39, that's going to work for you. You're going to take tires then, or maybe you know you can kind of keep decent pace if you push it out to lap 45 or 50. I can see the entire field pitting between lap 39 and lap 50. It's definitely going to be a 2-stop race tonight.
How about?
I said,
Go ahead.
I said definitely, so someone's going to do it on a one-stop and win the race.
Yeah, I don't know how. You're just giving up way too much in the way of tire wear. Guy who's obviously protected those dance shoes is going to be Max Williams. Stuffing it 3 wide into turn number 3. He's going to go 2 for 1 through that section of corners and only sits about a quarter of a second behind Colton Harvey, and he's gaining through 1 and 2. That really is where a fixed setup league can sometimes be a little bit difficult on these drivers. Is if the setup really suits you and you're able to tailor your driving style to the run, you can really make up a lot of ground. If you kind of just have your style and you just kind of, it's the cards you're dealt with, that's where we see something like Kevin Dick jumping out to a big lead and then falling off like a rock.
Yeah, I definitely have my own style. It's got a nickname. However, I prefer fixed setup series just because I know what the setup is ahead of time. I can go if I have a day off of work or want to take a couple hours here or there. If I'm taking it really seriously, I can go out there and practice all day long with that setup. And typically with fixed setup series, they let you know what the weather is going to be too. So you can exactly mimic the race and just go out there and turn laps. And you don't have to worry about running a stint, making a small change to this setup. Oh, that picked up a little bit. Oh, that lost a little bit 60 laps in, and spending 10 years doing that. But a fixed setup, you just go out there and turn laps like a track rat until you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's something, and again, this is maybe just my lower skill level on iRacing, but I prefer a fixed setup series. If I know that the guys that I'm chasing are optimizing setups to every degree of weather change, I'm not, those guys are taking half a second, 3/4 of a second from me just in talent alone. Whereas when you're on a fixed setup, it kind of levels the playing field for everybody, which I think is a whole lot of fun.
Which, I'm going to give a plug to one of our sponsors, Team Watson Racing Setups. The setup is so important in going fast that I went from a terrible driver in the dirt midgets to I loaded up one of their setups with someone who actually took the time to make a real good setup, and I picked up 7/10s and went from losing in bottom split to winning every single bottom split race I entered until I made my way up to some of the mid-tier splits. So a setup means a whole hell of a ton, and you have to put a ton of time into it, which is why I like these fixed setups. It's kind of just arrive and drive.
First car on pit lane is going to be the cartoon anvil of Richard Fletcher. That Mustang down into the box at lap number 40. He will go a lap down, but everybody should be able to get their lap back in the process once everything cycles through. Fletch going to be down and away, 15.1 seconds total time of the stop. Good qualifying effort for Fletch, has him down at the good end of the pit lane. He's going to get himself back out onto the racetrack. However, likely going to be 2 laps down here as we pick up Johnny Avila. He's going to come off of turn 2 right as Fletcher is getting up to speed down the back straightaway. There you see Fletch just ahead here as we pick up the shot from the NRN drone. Good battle here. Brad Allison and Tim Knott. Nice run for the 0-3 of Allison. Still running the Dale Earnhardt GM Goodwrench Wrangler scheme. However, with custom paints and die casts on the hood and quarter panels. I'll tell you what, I would almost think if I am Colton Harvey, Max Williams, Will Wurzler, I'm thinking I want to head down pit road here fairly soon. See if you can't make up some ground. What you're going to, basically you're going to run 2 or 3 consistent segments to the race. you know what the fall off is going to be here. If the leaders fall off any more than you have, you're sitting in really the catbird seat once we get towards the end of the race.
That's why I like the undercut, and typically the undercut, the math works out well. It's just when you get to some of these finicky races where you can make a one-stop work, because typically with the undercut, you're going to make an extra pit stop, but here I see everyone taking a two-stop strategy anyway, so there's almost no losing with the undercut here.
Yeah, I would think that's kind of one of those deals that you're... To me, it's better to not push than it is to, try to see if you can make a one-stop work, because the one-stop strategy just seems way out there.
The only way a one-stop strategy is going to work is if you really put in the time, had your calculator out, and really did the math both on tire fall off, on your fuel numbers, your tire heat cycles, everything like that, and maybe it could work. It's a very, very risky strategy. It's obviously one that's won Indy 500s, Daytona 500s, all sorts of races over the years, but they're far and few between.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know. The time that you're going to give up not coming to pit lane, the time you're going to give up on pit lane, I see as being less than what you're going to give up over the course of a 50-lap run or so.
And that's the math that you have to work out. That's the most important numbers. And if you're really desperate for a win, or it's the Indy 500, or it's a crazy big money race, sure, absolutely, take those wildcard strategies. But in a season-long points championship like this, I don't know if I want to risk finishing 10th or 11th when I know doing what I'm doing I could finish 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, that's where things get interesting, is there's more to the calculus than just individual race performances. It's also, how is this going to impact me over the course of the season?
It's just like one of my favorite Elaine Prost quotes. You can't judge a career just on one race. You either have to do it over the whole season, or better yet, over the full length of a career. Because in the end of the day, this race doesn't matter. Obviously, the race matters to the points championship, but we've got 13, 14 other races in the calendar. So you kind of have to make each race not matter. You need to not have any outliers in the average. You want your average to just be good.
Yeah, that's
I'd rather, especially in Fast Masters that we've been doing, most of my races that I've been winning have been with a second place average. Just finish second each race. Don't push for the win and wreck yourself and end up 13th.
Oh, hold on to it, Troy.
No, man! Almost murdering the cone. That would have been in cold blood.
Well, yeah. You see what you did there. Kevin Dick is the one sliding through pit lane. Crew already finished on the right-hand side of Andrew Moore's vehicle. Kevin Dick going to finish his stop here just a couple of seconds after Andrew Moore does. 15.1 seconds. Time of the stop for Moore. 15.2 for Kevin Dick. Now the kind of onus, I think, is on when do we see Johnny Avila come down pit lane. I don't know that you could make it the entire way to make this a one-stop race.
By my math, he's got to make it. He's got to stop on lap 59.
Yeah. I mean, even if you can make it 6 more laps on the fuel, I just don't know that that's going to be worth it. I mean, looking at some of the cars that have been down pit lane, you've got some heavy iron out there.
See, Johnny doesn't have much to lose here, though. He's going for the Road to Pro Series, so this series is just for fun for him. He just wants to rack up wins. Completely opposite of what I said before, where you judge it on a whole season. Johnny's just out here having a good time. This is a break from the super serious stuff that he has to do to make that Pro Series. So, I don't really see a fault here. It's a long shot. I don't know if he could do it, but if anyone can, it's definitely him.
I don't know. I would think a nice brand spanking new sim wheel from simspeedshop.com. New gear is good gear, at least when it's coming from Sim Speed Shop. If you're doing Road to Pro, you're probably on a direct drive wheel. Maybe that's something that you want to work with, or you work something out with Sim Speed Shop where you say, hey, I could really use this. It's about the same price. That's something to think about as well here, is maybe the prize from the league that you run helps you in that Road to Pro stuff. I want a championship. If I'm in Johnny Avila's shoes, I want that title.
That is a very, very good point. And obviously, neither of us are in his head. Neither of us know what his goal is here. But obviously, going for that Pro Series, and he's doing very well, I'd imagine he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
Whether or not it's going to work is another story, but I have faith in him.
I will say this. He is a smart, crafty young man. The week you weren't here, he proposed to his girlfriend a day early so he could hang out in the play-by-play booth with me. That's a thinking boy right there.
Chris, I enjoy hanging out with you. I don't know if I'd push the proposal a day early to...
No, usually those things are pretty well planned out in advance. By the way, Tim not on pit lane now.
Hopefully his now fiance is not listening into the broadcast and didn't hear that.
No, he told us the story on the air. It was fun, man.
Oh, I'll have to do a rewatch then.
Yes, that was a fun night. He definitely enjoyed getting to hang out with Johnny Avila up in the booth. Seeing Tim not on pit lane, and it looks like it will be an extended stop. Possibly a pit speed violation, but right now, stationary over 35 seconds for Tim Knott. The 07 of Joshua Morris coming around. Richard Smith going to put Morris up inside the top 10. And I'll tell you what, these guys that made it to lap 59, they're at the number now where they can make it the rest of the way. Daniel Pinkston coming down pit lane. This is going to be interesting to watch. It is definitely now a one-stop versus the two-stop. Last lap time for Andrew Moore Jr., 32.194. Last lap time for Johnny Avila, 33.4. It's worth 2 seconds a lap. Just doing the math in my head here, you're talking about a difference of about 20 laps or so. That's going to be close. That's going to be really close.
And Johnny Avila's hit the number. He can come down the road anytime now, and he does locking up, and Hunter Waters knocking that cone out a little bit.
Yeah, Hunter Waters committing some cone aside. Johnny Avila may have overcooked the entry as well. He wasn't as hot as Hunter Waters was coming in.
Now, Hunter Waters, I'm going to give that cone aside a 5 because the cone is still standing. You didn't finish the job.
It was kind of a slide job, if you will, on the cone. Enough to get it to move. Whole bunch of Will Worsler racing entries on pit road right now, by the way. Will Worsler is a WWR car, as is Hunter Waters, Johnny Avila, Colton Harvey making his way down pit lane this time as we watch the cycle of pit stops. Tony Patton, Brad Allison on pit lane. Max Williams has not stopped yet. You almost wonder, is Max Williams playing the big brain move with a huge overcut, knowing he had the speed late in the run? I'm going to be interesting. He's coming down pit road this time. Does get the bonus point for leading a lap. But as it stands right now, we may have our answer. Sort of. Andrew Moore Jr. off of turn number 4. He will be your race leader. Kevin Dick running, call it 8/10, maybe 3/4 back. Troy Haight runs third, 4.3 seconds back. Johnny Avila, 8.7 seconds back of your race leader. This is where, as we cycle through the pit stops, Patrick, things are going to get, I'll say, potentially difficult to follow along with. We will do our best to keep track of everything for you. Your top 3 cars and 4 of your top 5 stopping somewhere between lap 50 and lap, let's see, between, we'll say lap, oh gosh, I'm trying to do math in my head here. That ain't gonna work. Yeah, they're all about the same ballpark. They are currently working 13 laps on this stint for Andrew Moore and Kevin Dick. 18 laps on the stint for Troy Haight. Johnny Avila only on the 3rd lap. We just saw him down pit lane. Richard Fletcher up to 5th. He's 24 laps into his stint. He stopped at lap number 39. Doing the even split is what we're seeing out of Fletcher. That may have been too short, but I'm not sure that I like the idea of running the long stint yet, because even as Andrew Moore starts to fall off, the fall off is going to be even bigger from Johnny Avila by the end of this race.
And I forgot to time the time it takes from pit entry to pit exit. Because if I did that, I could calculate just how much they would need to make up.
Total time on pit lane for Andrew Moore Jr., 44.93 seconds. 44.62 for Kevin Dick.
We'll call it about 45 seconds.
Yes, that's a fair ballpark, about 45 and a half.
So the question now is Johnny Avila saving 45 seconds with that tire fall off? And that's the number that he has to reach.
And if you start playing the numbers games a little bit here, theoretically, when Andrew Moore has to pit, Avila will be catching up and could pit with him. And then it makes it a straight shot, again, a straight head-to-head battle. Johnny Avila's been the class car in terms of raw pace all night.
Yeah, but I'm doing the math in my head, and it seems more and more possible. Johnny Avila just has to stay within 20 seconds on both of his stints. I'm not sure if he did that on the first one, but he definitely has the opportunity to do it on the second. If he stays within 20 seconds, that gives him 5 seconds to the good as a safety margin.
Well, how about 16? The gap was 8 seconds when they came off of pit lane. This is going to be interesting. A very fun watch late in this race. What you're going to end up with, barring a penalty or anything, is a hard-charging Andrew Moore Jr. and Kevin Dick versus Johnny Avila, who could potentially be a sitting duck on older tires. It's only 10 laps in difference, but man, that 10 laps is going to be huge. The other thing we haven't considered yet here, Patrick, is the impact on the point standings as well. Because of where the stops came, that's going to be a big 10 points for Andrew Moore Jr. He's only 16 points back at Tyler Seville for 4th. That is a big, big number there, picking up those 10 bonus points for winning Stage 2. Following along with your race leaders, this gap sits at about half a second. Nobody else is close to each other. The next closest gap, 1.3 seconds between Colton Harvey and Max Williams. Although as I say that, Tony Patton's starting to catch up here on Richard Fletcher. Fletch says no mas into turn number 1. Patton gonna fly through quickly. Before we get to the next cycle of pit stops, let's talk our way through the upcoming schedule here for the Sim Racers Club. Next week, with the guys from Raceverse in the booth, 250 laps in Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway. That one's going to be fun. Then they have an off week, the second off week of the season. Coming back at the end of the month with a visit to the Texas Motor Speedway. Patrick, it's going to be you in the booth with Gary in the Raceverse team for Talladega, November 2nd. I will do my best to tune into that one. I think, well, maybe not. I may have to watch back the replay because it's going to be about 2 in the morning or so when that event goes live. At least where I will be.
I'm sure Ireland's got good internet. I mean, I'm sure you'll still be at a pub at 2 in the morning. So
that's a distinct possibility.
Ask him to throw it up on the TV in the pub.
Oh, that would go over like a soft fart in church. 5 more races after Talladega: Charlotte, Martinsville, Homestead, Las Vegas, and Phoenix, with only an off week for Thanksgiving. There's going to be a whole lot of goodness coming up over the next handful of weeks here for the Sim Racers Club. Getting a little bit of our answer. Johnny Avila is hauling the mail. 5-lap average, a solid 0.6 of a second faster than Andrew Moore Jr.
Now, the question is, he's going to be ahead of him now. How much time can he pick up before Andrew Moore pits again?
Well, and that's a great question. If Andrew Moore has been saving tires a little bit and doing his best to save tires, this may be not much of a gap at all. Avila needs to rely on building a very solid gap here over Andrew Moore. Moore keeps this within a second or two, then you're really talking all bets are off.
Yeah, if he can't pull away from Andrew Moore, he's going to have to pit at the same time as Andrew Moore. But if he pulls away and builds up a decent gap, he should be all right.
And this is right about where we started to see the fall off last time, about lap 16, lap 17. That's where we are now in the run for Johnny Avila. He's turned 17 laps on this set of good years. Colton Harvey, Max Williams, 16 and 15 respectively. Andrew Moore, Kevin Dick have 27 laps on their tires. Troy Haight has 32. He's back up to the 6th position. But we would expect to see Troy back down pit lane here in another 10 laps or so. Slide back a little bit here. Pick up Max Williams. He's within 0.4 of a second of Colton Harvey. Going to have the 23 of Richard Smith in between. Oh, man, Smith really giving him the business at the entrance to 3 there. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Johnny Avila has opened up the gap over 2 seconds on Moore. I think the question, though, is, Patrick, is how much does he need to open up? I don't know that it's 20 seconds.
No, it's so the raw number is not going to be 20 seconds. He's just got to save 20 seconds over the course of the run versus Andrew Moore.
Right.
I would
Versus,
put it,
so what you're saying is Johnny Avila's run has to be 20 seconds faster, or within 20 seconds, I should say, of Andrew Moore Jr.'s run in order to keep the lead.
yes.
Basically, the back end of the run is where we're going to see this play out.
Just on my, in the back of my head math, Johnny Veal, I would say, to make this strategy definitely work, needs to be about 8 seconds ahead when Andrew Moore comes to pit road.
Troy Haight going to be on pit lane this time. Car crew already around to the left side of the race car. He's down and away. Final pit stop of the night for Troy Haight is completed. 15.5 seconds the time of the stop there. Here comes Andrew Moore Jr. He's making the commitment. Final stop of the night. 35 laps to go. I like this call. Avoid the fall off that comes lap over lap, even if it's only half a tenth. By avoiding the fall off that comes at the very late stages of the run, this is going to be a quick number 77 machine.
My only worry for Andrew Moore, though, did he pit too early? Is by the time he closes in on Johnny Avila, is his equipment going to be too junk to go out there and actually make a pass?
Oh, well, that's true. Getting there is one thing. Passing somebody is something completely different.
And Johnny Avila is not an easy guy to pass.
Andrew Moore coming out right in line with Hunter Waters. As we see Richard Fletcher coming down pit lane this time by. Man, is this going to be a fun watch over the last 33 or so laps left in this race. Colton Harvey going to have to fend off Max Williams. This is a battle for position amongst cars that will not need another stop. No, they stopped at laps 61 and 62. So they're definitely not going to need a stop. Kevin Dick making his way in this time. He is pitting out of position number 4. This is more akin to calling an F1 race, doing a lot of strategy talk here. It's not the typical kind of NASCAR you're going to get a yellow, even if it's a competition caution or a Jacques Debris caution at some point in the race. Andrew Moore Jr. is just... There you see him, right towards the top of your screen. About a lap and a third, almost lap and a half behind your race leader, Johnny Avila. Andrew Moore Jr.'s last lap, 31.521 seconds. Johnny Avila's last lap, 32.9. About a 1.5 seconds faster than what Johnny Avila is running. Problem is, we're down to 30 laps to go. This may be a pretty big ask of Andrew Moore Jr. take a look here. Pick up our race leader. And actually, the first car 1 lap down is going to be Thomas Wilhite in the 19. So even a caution right now, I guess it would be okay for Moore because he would just take the wave around. But you're still talking about having 5 or 6 laps on a set of tires, and now you've heat cycled them. Right now, only 5 cars remain on the lead lap. Avila, Harvey, Williams, Tony Patton, and Brad Allison. And those are all cars that made the attempt to go 60-plus laps. Basically, 4 cars on a 2-stop strategy, the rest of the field on the 1-stopper. The 5-lap average for Andrew Moore, 31.7 to a 32.9 for Johnny Avila. So it's only 1.2 seconds in terms of the average lap time. That's not going to be enough. Even if he's able to catch up, he's still going to be about half a lap behind is what it looks like here for Andrew Moore.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to catch that up.
I'm doing the math in my head. The hamster is spinning. There's smoke blowing out of my ears. I'm not seeing how that math possibly adds up here. Here's a look at Colton Harvey running in the 2nd position, about 0.8 of a second back. There is Max Williams in the number 8. You just see Max on the right-hand side of the screen there. That's the battle for the 2nd position. Pick up Richard Smith. He's sitting about 0.6 of a second back of Kevin Dick. And Dick opening that gap now. Here comes the 23 of Smith down pit lane. Pick up Andrew Moore Jr. He runs in the 6th position, working outside of the 41. Tim Knotsgaard, that was not a battle for position.
I see what you did there.
So the chase is on. 22 to go. Andrew Moore Jr. will be faster than Johnny Avila on new tires. The question is, can he make the gap up in those 22 laps? Moore is back on the lead lap. I really don't know. That it's going to be a fun watch, that is for sure. Pick up Johnny Avila. We are back to 5 cars on the lead lap. As Tony Patton came into the pits. The final car on the lead lap is Andrew Moore Jr. Moore does not want to see a caution flag at this point. It will give Avila, Harvey, Williams, and Allison a chance to put that 2nd set of Goodyear Racing Eagles on the car. This strategy for Andrew Moore relies on there not being a caution flag.
Yeah, I almost want to say Johnny Avila has definitely picked out the optimal strategy. If there's no caution, he has a high probability to win. If there is a caution, I would say it's almost definite he's going to win.
Ooh, unless you're the caution, almost getting it up into the safer barrier, exiting 2.
No, he was just running the Kyle Larson line.
19 laps to go. Johnny Avila has led 68 circuits thus far here tonight. Andrew Moore led 13 at the exchange of pit stops. Kevin Dick leading 14 early on. Colton Harvey and Max Williams each picking up, well, 1 lap for Harvey, 2 for Williams, which will earn them a bonus point.
And Andrew Moore Jr. only picking up about 0.7 of a second that lap on the gap to Johnny Avila.
Yeah, the 5-lap average for Moore sitting at a 32 flat, 33.1 the 5-lap average for Johnny Avila. Looking at the 10-lap averages, it's a 33 flat for Avila, and Andrew Moore's is going to be a 31.9. So he's making pace. I just don't know that there's going to be enough time left.
He's not making enough pace. He's got to really, I don't want to say it, but got to burn those tires off now while they've still got grip and try and close in ground. Every lap from here to the checkered flag for Andrew Moore should be a qualifying lap, if he wants to even see Johnny Avila's taillights.
Yeah, and Andrew Moore's just not getting that done. His qualifying lap was a 31.1. Best lap in the race is a 31.3. Last lap a 32.5 for Andrew Moore. Kevin Dick coming around Johnny Avila. That's going to put him back on the lead lap as well. So we're back to 6 cars on the lead lap now. Thomas Wilhite is catching in slightly, but he's on the same strategy that Johnny Avila is. So take a look at the progress that Andrew Moore Jr. is making. There you see the gap between the 03 of Brad Allison and the 77 of Moore. Definitely closing in.
See, the problem Andrew Moore has is he's got to pass these other cars, which even though it looked like he passed them effortlessly, that still took momentum away. Brad Allison did let him go by, but he still had that dirty air entering the corner, had to enter it just a little bit slower. All of this is going to hurt him, and he's got to do that twice more before he even gets to Johnny Avila.
Yeah, he's just not going to get there at this point. The gap for Andrew Moore sitting at 26 seconds with 14 laps to go. Could get it down to about 10 seconds, which would absolutely put him within range of Max Williams. But even that could be a bit of a stretch, as with 14 to go, the gap is 16.6 seconds between Moore and Williams. Tony Patton coming around Daniel Pinkston in the 22. Patton on that fresher tires, stopping at lap number 94. And now we have nobody within 1 second of each other. I can tell you that because I have all white numbers on my timing and scoring screen. The closer they get, the hotter the color gets. It goes from yellow to orange to red, the closer the drivers are. There is nobody within a zip code of each other at this point. I think the closest battle, John Moeller to Joshua Morris for the 15th position, and that is going to be just now ticking under 1 second.
Yeah, this has really turned into a strategy race, which is kind of uncharacteristic of Kansas. It's also uncharacteristic that we haven't had a caution yet.
I'm knocking on wood as we're down to 11 laps to go, although it would be fun to watch Andrew Moore try to hold off brand new tires. Drivers that would not have tires to pit for, Andrew Moore, Kevin Dick, Troy Haight, Tony Patton, Richard Fletcher. Some of those guys are a lap down and would get a wave around. Seeing Richard Fletcher apparently had some extracurricular activities here. Coming down through the trioval last time. He is just ahead of Kevin Dick. Tony Patton coming around Hunter Waters. Good run here for the 86 machine. Tony is up 7 from where he started. He is putting those tires to good use.
Speaking of tires, I believe Andrew Moore has completely burnt his stuff off. Last lap for Andrew Moore, 32.87. Last lap for Johnny Avila, 33.14. He is only 0.3 faster than Johnny Avila now. If there were 100 laps to go in this race, he could probably make it up with that kind of pace, but unfortunately, I just don't think the strategy is going to pan out this week.
No, it's going to be good to get him a top 5 finish. He runs 4th. He qualified 4th. In fact, the only driver that has not moved the position. And I guess if you think you're not going to be able to do it on raw pace, maybe you try the, throw the spaghetti noodle at the wall and see if it sticks.
Well, that depends. Were you using olive oil as your sauce, or were you using molasses as your sauce? And in this case, molasses, I think, is going to win it. Slow and steady, just one pit stop, nice and consistent. Johnny Avila is going to win it. This is his race to lose. He has to hit the wall or another car to lose this race.
Yeah, a fantastic run for Johnny Avila. A couple other guys here. Second place running Colton Harvey, up 16 positions from where he qualified in the 18th position tonight. Great run for the 36 machine. Same is true of Max Williams. Max Williams running 3rd, not too far back, only 1 second behind Harvey. Williams up 10 to be your hard charger of the race.
No, Colton Harvey's going to be your hard charger.
Yeah, second for your hard charger.
Yeah, he's going to win that Custom Paints and Diecast Hard Charger Award tonight. That's a guaranteed for him as long as he doesn't hit the wall or doesn't hit another car, which, really, we need a caution in this thing to go and spice things up. Maybe I'll go send a tire changer out onto the racing surface.
I see what you did there. 5 laps to go. The Northland Leisure money for the stage winner is going to go to this man, Johnny Avila, for winning stage number 1, and Andrew Moore Jr. for winning stage number 2. Fastest lap of the race. That money going to go out the door to Kevin Dick, 31.101 seconds. Not far off of where he qualified. Unfortunately, the speed translated into absolute garbage out of those Goodyear tires late in the run.
That best lap out of Kevin Dick, you mentioned, that is the exact same time that Andrew Moore Jr. ran for his qualifying lap. So he was flying earlier in the race. Unfortunately, not anymore. It's going to be good enough to land him on the lead lap, but I don't know much better than that.
The night goes from bad to worse for Will Worsler. A pit road speeding penalty on his first stop cost him 40 seconds on pit road, a total time over 1 minute. Now the 29 machine is back on pit lane, and it will be an extended stop once again for Will Worsler.
Fortunately for Will Worsler, though, he will win the Custom Paints and Diecast Biggest Loser Award.
Yeah, it goes from bad to worse for Mike McConville. Had the connection issue, couldn't get back into the server, and then he doesn't win Biggest Loser. He's only down 10. Will Worsler down 13 on the night. As we're down to, well, we'll call it 2 miles or so left to go here for Johnny Avila. Just over 1 hour in length. White flag is in the air. Johnny Avila 1.5 miles away from a dominating win here at the Kansas Speedway. Car nice and clean off of turn number 2. Kevin Dick coming around Brad Allison to pick up a spot inside the top 5, but no strategy needed. Checkered flag in the air. Johnny Avila gets the win at Kansas. What a run from Johnny Avila. We're going to follow him to turn 1, and we still have time to get Colton Harvey coming home second.
10.5 seconds behind. That is just domination out of Johnny Avila.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. Johnny Avila absolutely smoked the field here tonight. A race that took 1 hour and 5 minutes to complete. A very impressive win for the Bulldog Roofworks Ford Mustang of Johnny Avila.
Well, I'll tell you what, he definitely found the yellow brick road tonight.
We got an hour into this thing and we didn't make a yellow brick road Wizard of Oz Dorothy joke. I thought we were going to get through a whole show without one.
Yeah, I know.
Johnny Avila burning them down on the front straightaway. Let's take a look at your race results. 10.5 seconds. That is an annihilation of this field by Johnny Avila. Colton Harvey coming home second. Max Williams rounds out the podium here this evening. Andrew Moore, Kevin Dick, your top 5. Brad Allison, the final car on the lead lap, comes home 6th. Thomas Wilhite, Tony Patton, Troy Haight, Hunter Waters, your top 10. Daniel Pinkston, Richard Fletcher, Richard Smith, 2nd. Corbin Simmons, John Moeller back in the 15th position. 16th, Joshua Morris. 17th, Tim Knott. 18th, Will Worsler. And Mike McConville finishing in the 19th position here this evening. That was impressive. Absolutely dominant performance from Johnny Avila. In fact, a race where we did not have one Hot Shoe Raceware instant replay tonight. That hasn't happened in quite a while. We'll get all of our drivers. Go ahead.
My apologies to Hot Shoe, but we had a race that was flawless. Nobody did anything to bring out an instant replay. There were no cautions, and there was always action to focus on. It wasn't anything crazy happening. It was just good old strategy racing. Something that doesn't happen very often, but it's always cool when it does.
Yeah, I enjoy a race that is decided on strategy every once in a while. I don't want to see it every week.
It's boring every week.
Yes.
But once in a while, it's fun to just run the numbers over and over in your head. Is this going to work? Is this going to work for Johnny Avila? Is this going to work for Max Williams? Whoever. It's a ton of numbers running around. It's super fun.
Well, a guy who got the numbers absolutely on the screws perfect tonight is Johnny Avila, your race winner here at Kansas. I'll tell you what, bud, 87 laps led. You kind of fought your way through some alternate pitch strategies, but that almost looked easy out there tonight.
The car was a little bit more of a handful to drive than I was expecting, but I kind of just ran my own pace, did my own thing, and I was kind of lucky that some of the other guys decided to do a 2-stop strategy instead of 1. The tires, they kind of just leveled off, so I was kind of just chilling, trying to make my fuel number.
Yeah, it almost seemed like the fall-off was happening lap 16, 17, 18 in that range, but then it just kind of, like you said, level. Was that really important to how you played the strategy tonight, knowing that you could manage an extra almost 50 laps after the tire fall-off?
So, with the tires leveling off that fast, it it doesn't really give you an opportunity to like keep gaining on somebody if you do like a two-stop strategy, because like you'll catch them for like 15, 20 laps, and then after that it's kind of just stalled out. So that advantage that you'll get for like a 60 lap run, you really only get for a third of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was a huge night for you in terms of the point standings as well. Entering the night, 31 points back of new leader Will Worsler entering the night. Will finishing 18th. Colton obviously finishing second will take the points lead, so you're not going to gain as much. Kevin was not there towards the front all night. He ended up coming home 5th. Tyler not being here. Hunter was a little bit further back as well. We're going to have a shootout now for this points battle.
Well, hopefully make it fun and exciting to get here to the end. It's nice to get back in victory lane, because not only in this league but the other league I'm in as well. Throughout that season, I'm winless in it, so it feels good to be back.
Well, congratulations, bud. A big first win. I think first win. First win of the fall season.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that one. And before we let you go, get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Well, I gotta thank Bulldog Roofworks for sponsoring my car. I gotta thank all my teammates. They always give me valuable information each week, and gotta thank you guys up in the booth, giving me something to watch on a Wednesday night.
All right, bud. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you hanging out with us here for a few minutes. And man, that was good. This one, I think, is going to be just as good here. Colton Harvey, you were impressive tonight, sir. I guess we can call it best in class behind race winner Johnny Avila. Talk us through the night here. It was, I can't say it was a ho-hum race. There was a lot going on, but ultimately strategy cards playing out for you well. Great recovery drive to be the hard charger. All in all, good night there for that Ron John 36.
Yeah, it was a good run. The car was way more loose than I thought it was going to be on older tires. I was like, the back end was kicking out after on the exit of 2 and 4. It was a handful, but it was fun. And I had a lot of fun passing everybody, and it's hard to pass here, and I was surprised I got from 18th to 2nd there. And bummer Hunter had a pit road issue, or he would have been right there in the mix with us.
Yeah, that seemed like it was shaping up to be a really interesting battle. Ultimately, I think Andrew probably pitted a little bit early to make the two-stop strategy work. It just kind of seemed like everything was laying out in your favor. You called the shot in the pre-race, tag the wall on my cue, going to make a lot of passes. You certainly did that, picking up the Custom Paints and Diecast Hard Charger Award, and you're going to pass Will Worsler and be the points leader here exiting tonight. That's a whole lot of momentum as we head off to Thunder Valley next week.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that. That's awesome. I didn't realize I grabbed the points lead. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, hey, we'll take it, man. A heck of a run for you here to come up 16 positions, finish second tonight. Congratulations on the podium, and do all the sponsor plugs and thank yous before we get you out of here.
All right. Thanks to Sam for running the league. It was a lot of fun. Crazy this thing went green all the way. My back hurts. I don't know. I got to make some adjustments to my chair. And Ron John Surf Shop, biggest one in Cocoa Beach, or biggest one in the United States in Cocoa Beach.
Hey,
And shout out to all my fellow Floridians. Hopefully they got through the hurricane okay. That's where my dad is. He didn't get hit too hard, but for the people down at Fort Myers, hope you get rebuilt, get some power back. And they usually do, so I think they'll be okay.
All right, bud. Well,
Hey.
thank you much. Well, sorry about that, Patrick.
I was gonna let him know. He should go down to his local junkyard, pick out one of those Mercedes seats with the massage chairs, and just hook it up to a battery tender. Get a massage while you're racing.
Oh, that's fantastic. Our third place finisher here tonight is Mr. Max Williams. I'll tell you what, Max, that number 8 hot rod was spectacular at times tonight. Coming off the win 1 week ago, another podium here tonight. There's a big old head of steam coming there out of that YJ Esports camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Averaging second place over our last two races. It's the best consistency I've had all season. Just wish we had it at the start of the second half of this season. But yeah, that first run was great. We kind of messed up our qualifying lap. We weren't really focused on qualifying at all. We were just doing race runs for the most part, which did pay off. But it led me kind of starting down in the midst of it. So I had a little bit. I just had a bunch of good battles. Kevin Dick, Tim Knott. Me and my teammates, Mike McConville, Corbin Simmons, they were all up there just kind of swapping places. That first run till we pitted, it was just wrecking loose, I think, for almost everybody, at least around me. Was trying to mix with the bottom and the top. They both kind of, it was a multi-groove racetrack out there tonight, which was pretty fun. But eventually it migrated to the bottom, and then it tightened up as the race went on. So it was a very difficult race tonight. But happy to come away with a P3.
Well, yeah, I got to say, it's a big time deal when you're trying to manage tires over the long run. The track conditions are changing on you. It's not as simple as just make 117 laps worth of left turns and come home where you come home. There's a lot that goes into the thought process during one of these races.
Yeah, 100%. Especially, I love how we do it with the spin in the wheel for the stage cautions. It kind of varies week to week what our strategies are going to be. You can't really pin anything down. Tonight it was no stage cautions, so we had a interesting one stop versus two stop. Mike McConville, Corbin Simmons helped out a lot with the strategy in race. We just ran it out and just kind of hang on. And really, those guys that had to two stop, they were short on fuel, and they didn't have enough tire at the end to catch back up. So the one stop was just that much better tonight. But I'm happy it worked out in our favor.
All right, bud. Well, it was a very nice run for you to pick up 10 spots, come home third. And before we let you go, make sure you get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of.
Absolutely. As always, thanks to you guys in the booth for calling it. We'll obviously enjoy going back and looking at it. Thanks to the admins putting this league on. Just thanks to the drivers tonight. No cautions. We were in and out efficient. Got to go to work, I guess. But thanks to Mike McConville, especially, who's helping out. De facto crew chief on top of the box once his internet crapped out. Hate it for him, but he was help the team out in a big way. Shout out Art, who couldn't make it tonight, and Corbin Simmons out there, and the rest of the YJ Media Group company did a great job tonight as a team, and we'll look forward to Bristol next week.
All right, Max, thank you very much. We appreciate you checking in with us here. And man, I'll tell you what, Patrick, it's not often that we're done with the Victory Lane interviews before an hour and a half is complete, but efficient. I like the word that Max used there. This is one of those races that you're going to get that sometimes on a mile and a half. Coming up next week at Bristol, you're definitely not going to have that coming up.
Yeah, Bristol is not a fuel mileage track. It's not a tire conservation track. It's a bumper conservation track. The good thing we have seen with this new car is these bumpers are very strong. They could take as hard of a hit as you want on that front bumper and rear bumper. Just don't bang the sides up too much, and you should do all right.
Yeah, we will be watching from Bradenton, Florida, helping out with some production duties down there on the Danger Ranger 9000. We cannot wait to get back down there to the Freedom Factory. But that's about it.
That place, I used to go down to Florida as a kid and go, are we going to Disney World? I love Disney World. Disney World is not the happiest place on earth. You go down to the Freedom Factory. The Freedom Factory gives me the same smile on my face when I see the gate as I do when I go to Daytona or Indianapolis. It is just such a wonderful place. It's one of the few racetracks that I can go back to and just go, holy crap, I'm here. It's a wonderful track.
Yes, the behind-the-scenes stuff, maybe we'll try to get some of that content up here on the National Racing Network. We'll see how much we're actually allowed to do contractually, but yeah, we're looking forward to that. Thank you very much to Gary Godso and the entire Race First team that will be stepping in for us here on the Sim Racers Club broadcast. We've got a bunch more coming up tomorrow night. The Ezra IndyCar Series taking on New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That one will kick off at 8:30 in the East. Follow it up with the Indy Pro 2000 Championship, heading off to the land of the rising sun and Fuji Speedway over in Japan. Finished building the cameras on that one the other day. That is a venue I cannot wait to call a race at. It's going to be pretty
That-
intense.
Fuji, I can guarantee, is going to be amazing because participation has been crap all week. When participation is not good in that car, that means the track is hard to drive. And when the track is hard to drive, it puts on a hell of a good show. And I can't wait. That might be one I might have to join you in the booth for because I love Fuji. That's such a good track.
Oh, it is spectacular. Some of the angles and the views and the looks at so much speed those Indy Pro cars are going to carry around there. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night, coming up at 10:15 in the East. Maybe we'll even talk Burt Wojcik and Adam Rubright into having a high side hustle show at 7 o'clock. We'll see what those boys are up to. But with that, time for Patrick and I to get the heck on out of here. It has been a fun night of racing, but we're getting out the door. For Patrick Byrne and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a good night, everybody.